it's teacher Janelle. Let me present to you today, or in this video, today, tomorrow, or wherever you feel like watching this video, let me present to you the intensive and reflexive pronouns. So as usual, I'm going to present to you a diagram, which is downloadable. Yes, you can get a copy of the diagram at my blog. So that's www.janellec.blogspot.com. So you can have the link descriptions below. So you can just go on watching this video as I am going to explain to you in the simplest way that I can how to understand reflexive and intensive pronouns. And it goes with pointers, when not to use these pronouns and when to use them. So hang on tight. I want you to sit tight. I don't think if you could relax, because this is grammar and it's not meant for you to be relaxing. So how else do you want to watch this? I just want to wish you positive energy. Okay? So here goes. Hi guys, it's teacher Janelle. Let me introduce to you the intensive and reflexive pronouns. Let me clarify to you what these pronouns are by just looking at the words. From the word reflexive, reflect. So that means a reflexive pronoun is a pronoun that usually just mirrors back to the subject or mirrors back to the antecedent. Intensive pronouns from the word intense. So it emphasizes, it gives more weight to the antecedent. And we are going to talk more about that as we go on, as you go on watching this video. So let's go. Let me show you a table on pronouns, but I'm going to show you the objective pronouns side by side, the reflexive or intensive pronouns for your guidance. So observe it thoroughly. So what you can see there, you see first person, second person, third person. The S and the P, S is for singular pronouns, P for plural pronouns. So if we say first person pronouns, these are the pronouns that will include the speaker. So for singular, we have me. And if me, the equivalent of me for intensive or reflexive pronoun, that's myself. So that's me, myself. If we are going to pluralize that, it would be us, us. So if that is an intensive or reflexive, it becomes ourselves, ourselves. So you can say ourself, because our is plural, self is singular, they battle. So ourselves. Next is the second person. The second person would refer to the person you are addressing to, or the person you're talking about, the person you're talking to. So we only have one pronoun for that, it's you. And for intensive and reflexive, it becomes yourself for singular, and for plural, yourselves. The third person pronoun is when a pronoun is not the speaker. So you say her, and it becomes herself. His becomes himself. You cannot say he-self. Then it, for inanimate objects or sometimes animals, it becomes itself. It's one word. You cannot pluralize itself into itself, so it's only itself. If you want to pluralize itself, if you want to pluralize himself, if you want to pluralize herself, it only has one plural form, themselves. Themselves. So you cannot say themselves. It's opposing singular plural. So them is plural, selves plural. Themselves. Let me show you the diagram. This diagram is going to help you understand when to use or where to find intensive and reflexive pronouns. Or is it necessary that we use intensive or reflexive pronouns all the time? So this is going to help you. And I'm going to make clarifications by using the position of these pronouns in sentences. So let's begin with intensive pronouns. Where do we find intensive pronouns in sentences? We can find intensive pronouns immediately after the antecedent. Let's take this for example. You yourself must perform your duties. You yourself must perform your duties. You there is the antecedent. Yourself is the intensive pronoun. This sentence only means that there is no other person who is going to do the duties but you yourself. That intensifies the gravity, the necessity of you doing your duties. You can also find the intensive pronoun at the end of the sentence. At the end, he must call the police himself. He must call the police himself. He there is the antecedent, and the intensive pronoun himself refers to he, not the police. So there is no other person who should call the police but he himself. It should be he. Our subject should do the calling of the police himself. So that's where you can find the intensive pronoun. Next, the reflexive pronouns. As I said, the reflexive pronouns, they are mirroring back to the antecedent. It goes back to the antecedent. So where can we find it? We can find a reflexive pronoun immediately after the verb. Immediately after the verb. So if we say, Melissa is teaching herself how to play the piano. Melissa is teaching herself how to play the piano. Melissa is the antecedent. Is teaching is the verb. Herself is the reflexive pronoun. Who is teaching Melissa to play the piano? Herself. So there is no other person who teaches Melissa how to play the piano but herself. This reflects back to Melissa, who is the antecedent. Herself here is found after the verb is teaching. So it's a direct object actually. It's the direct object. The receiver of the action is teaching. We can also find the reflexive pronoun after the preposition. What are prepositions? Prepositions are words that make connections among the words in sentences, or make connections among sentences. So like in, on, at, the very famous in, on, at, with, of, on, under, below, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, for example, this sentence. Clark often talks to himself when he is alone. Clark often talks to himself when he is alone. Clark is the antecedent and the subject at the same time. Often talks to himself. Talks is the verb. To is the preposition. To himself. Himself there is the reflexive pronoun that is found right after the preposition to. So whom does Clark talk to? To himself. So it goes back to Clark. That makes it a reflexive pronoun. So that's all for intensive and reflexive pronouns. I'm gonna see you. I hope I'm gonna see you in my next videos, my next lessons. So that's all for now. Bye bye.